Alfonso's here, the godfather of the game. Many years of wisdom, remember his name. Speakers on stage, they'll drop the keys. Unlock your power and seize the breeze.
If you see my travel schedule, don't you dare tell me you're tired. If you look at my travel schedule, just if you feel ever tired, exhausted, like you can't move on, I don't know, look at the things that I do and the variety of different things that I'm doing, right? Yeah. And I'm doing that I'm not going to say go and do it. I never tell people, hey guys, you do this. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Deals Estate Wholesaling Podcast, where we discuss finding, financing, and facilitating off-market real estate deals. I'm your host, Deji Odunton, and I'm joined today on the show by the godfather of real estate himself, Alfonso Cuadra. Guys, Alfonso's story is truly fascinating. A refugee from El Salvador, dropped out of high school and left home at 15, became a father at 17, started his business at 19, scaled it to multiple locations at 21, lost everything shortly afterwards, didn't give up, pivoted to real estate, and now is on track to cross over $1,000 and has built a mentorship group of over 700 investors and counting. This community is called Wealth Genius. It's a real estate education platform that operates out of Canada and the US, and it helps its members to achieve financial freedom through real estate. A spoiler alert, I also happen to be a member of this community, so it's extremely humbling, and I'm extremely honored to be interviewing the Godfather today. So guys, you do not want to miss this. You need to listen to the very end. Before we dive in, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who is tuning in. If you are a fan of this podcast, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. So let's dive into today's episode. Hi, Alfonso. Welcome to the Deals Estate Wholesaling Podcast.
Good to be here, Deji. What's going on, my man? I was waiting for the invite for a while, but it's all right. It's all right.
Oh, man, thank you very, very much for coming on. It's truly an honor to interview you today. And it's not like we didn't want to send the invite, but we wanted to wait until, it was the best time. And I think a lot has happened over the past couple of months, since we've started this. And
yes,
now is indeed the best time, for us to have this conversation. So thank you very, very much for coming on.
Hey, and we just saw each other. We had this big event.
Yes.
Niagara Falls, 500 investors from all across North America. Actually, there's an excitement in the air, and these are exciting times to be an investor in real estate. And you said stay towards the end, so I'm going to highly encourage anybody that's watching this right now. We're not going to be dropping nuggets here. It's not like a nugget show. We're going to be dropping bombs.
Bombs.
We're going to be dropping fire here. You know what I mean? Because, as you know, we're going to bring the goods. So you're going to want to stay all the way to the end.
Thanks, Alfonso. So, I want to bet that quite a number of people that listen to this podcast, if not everyone, knows who Alfonso is. But we usually start off the show with just giving you that opportunity to share, a bit about yourself, just to let everyone know who exactly is speaking. So can you tell us about yourself? Who is Alfonso Cuadra?
Well, first and foremost, I am a father, mentor, coach, leader in my community. The reason why I decided to get into the educational space, coaching, mentoring, speaking, is because, when I was young, immigrating from El Salvador and, growing up in Ottawa housing, right? When people would come and try to inspire us in school, no one looked like me. You know what I mean? So I wanted to be that person. I want to stand for something,
Yeah.
A lot of people, there's a lot of immigrants in Canada and a lot of people have come here from other countries and I want them to see an example of what is possible. So ultimately, my life is an example of what is possible for anybody that comes to the Western world.
Yeah.
Really. I grew up in El Salvador. well, I didn't grow up there, but I was born there, but I was born in the middle of two, one civil war in El Salvador, another one in Nicaragua. So, by the age of 9, I've moved around so much and I missed a lot of educational opportunities.
Yeah.
So when we immigrated here as a refugee, I had a lot of gaps in my learning. And so I had a lot of trouble integrating into the education system here. The problem with that was that, I don't know, I didn't feel inspired at school, but having immigrant parents and, putting so much value on education, I felt that that was the only way to be successful. And so ultimately, when I knew that wasn't the path for me, I didn't have many options. I want to be that person to give options, provide options for a lot of young people. This is why I started the Youth Foundation, is to help young people learn about financial business literacy, learn how to start businesses, learn how to invest in real estate. And so, in a nutshell, you asked me, who is Alfonso Cuadra? I guess I'm pieces of a lot of things, but in the most, if you want to narrow it down to one, I'm a leader of leaders, right? So my job is to develop other leaders and help them go to the next level, right? And so I'm the example. I lived it. I've done it. I've proven, created systems. My job is to develop you, Deji, help you become a leader, and that is what I am.
Oh wow, that's pop. Thanks, Alfonso. Okay, so now you're doing that actively. I know a lot of people would want to understand who inspired Alfonso. Who mentored you as well when you were coming up.
Well, you know what? I was because I'm a hip hop child, right? From the second, so back home. In the 80s, all we listened to was Michael Jackson, right? It was Michael Jackson. It was like the only artist that existed, in the 80s. And I grew up with that. I could sing Michael Jackson songs before I could even speak English, right? I just thought it was this like crazy thing, like only this one person has all of this talent. When I landed in Vancouver in 1986, there was, I came out of my building and, there was these kids on a break dancing on a cardboard box, right? And they're like, they're doing their, and then they're spinning on their heads. And I was so fascinated with that, Deji. I was like, whoa. And I was like hooked. That was like the very beginning of my love for hip hop. My first cassette tape that when my mom brought me to the record store and I said I wanted to buy a cassette tape, it was the Fat Boys, right? Fat Boys' second cassette tape was Run DMC. When I was 12, I tried to start a rap group. It didn't work out, Deji. Unfortunately, I don't have a good memory. A good enough memory to remember these songs, you know what I mean? So I was never able to remember songs. So I knew that rapping was not going to be my thing. The next thing was basketball. So I was a really good basketball player. I played so much basketball that I would walk around every single day with basketball shorts underneath my clothes, just in case you could catch me. Right. And so I'm like, okay, basketball. But you know what? I don't know if you met me. I'm 5'6".
There's quite a number of them that are 5'6". So
yeah, but it's, I don't know if basketball was going to be in my future. Right. So I couldn't be a rapper. I couldn't be a basketball player. But what did inspire me, what did fascinate me was the fact that all of these people were making money out of the industry. So you had P. Diddy, Russell Peters, Russell Simmons, Fat Joe, Big Pun, like all of these people in the hip hop industry that were making money from the business of hip hop. Yeah. And so those were the people that inspired me at the very beginning. I was like, wow. You don't have to be a rapper. You don't have to be a basketball player. You don't have to be a dancer. You don't have to be a graffiti artist. You could actually make money from the business of hip hop. And so that's what I chose to do at the very beginning. I opened a hip hop clothing store back in 1996. Okay. And, I was immersed in this culture, and the very first people that inspired me were, the P Diddy's, the Fubus of the world, all those stories were like, whoa, someone could come out of nothing and build a business based around something they love. That was inspirational to me. As I started to develop my business and develop myself, I had other mentors, people like Jim Rohn, Les Brown, like all the people that were inspiring people at that time. I remember I had like cassettes and DVDs and CDs of all of these people. But it wasn't until I moved to Miami that I had like my very, very first one-on-one mentor. And he didn't know he was my mentor, but he was definitely my mentor. And it's this idea that you can tap into somebody else's experience. And if they've been there before and they've played the game that you're trying to play, it's going to be so valuable for you to tap into, that experience. And since then, I've invested hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars into mentorship, coaching programs, speaking programs, whatever I can do in order to invest in myself. Even right now, we're on our way to another program in August. We invested $100,000 just to be in that program, and so. There's going to be lots of mentors and coaches that people are going to go through. Some are formal, like basically I'm paying you X amount for this. Those are important. And some of they're informal, right? There are people that that inspire you. They don't know that they're your mentor, but you look at these people and you're inspired by them.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm trying to digest that, and you've clearly walked us through the importance of mentorship, the importance of coaching, and we've also seen that in how you've transitioned from building the business of hip hop into real estate, and then building a business that also develops leaders through Wealth Genius. So, do you maybe want to walk us through how this life model of being teachable, getting the right mentorship, getting the right coaching has taken you from building a business in hip hop to getting into real estate to ultimately building a mentorship group like Wealth Genius?
Yeah. So the idea, it comes back to people, right? So I was doing a lot of things by default when I built my first business back in 1996. Because I didn't have any money, because I didn't have any skills, because I didn't have much of what is needed in order to develop a business. What I did have is a love for the product. I was a hip hop head, and I had a passion for making a business out of what I loved.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you got to look for people, right? And you got to look for people that do have the skill sets, that do have the integration capacity. You need people with money. You need people with time, and so I did this by default. I had this idea. People thought I was crazy. 96% of the people thought I was crazy because I had no money trying to open these stores. At the beginning, it was just one store that I wanted to open, right?
Yep.
And then what I was good at doing by default is communicating my vision.
Okay.
Right? And so the people around me, my friends at the time, I'm like, listen, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna be the next Fat Farm, we're gonna be the next Fubu, we're gonna be the next Sean John, and well, I don't even think Sean John existed at that time, but my friends bought into the idea, right? Bought into and invested in the idea, right? So that was my very first joint venture.
Okay.
And then I took that business. So the first investment and the money that I raised the first time, think about it. I'm like 17, 18, 19, it was roughly about $2,700. And I took those $2,700 and I turned it into a company grossing in the millions with locations all across Canada, right?
Wow.
We became the number one urban clothing superstore in all of Canada. And so, I learned a lot from that. The problem was I wasn't an investor at that time. I was just a guy that figured out. It's just like someone that learns how to sing or is an athlete or whatever. They're good at what they do, but they're not business people. And I wasn't a business person. I had to develop these skills. And so I went through a time where I almost lost everything because I was not a business person. The money that was coming in, I was spending all of that money. And so the next stage of my life was to develop the real estate. After I started to educate myself and learn and grow and understand what is how are wealthy people develop? Like, what's the difference, And I learned that real estate was the way to go. And I started to educate myself. I got myself a coach, a mentor within that space. And then I was able to grow the portfolio to the point where I was 30 years old and I no longer have to work anymore. I had, I sold my first company. I have the real estate portfolio. And so I don't have to work another day in my life. And now I'm 30 years old. And I remember going on an extended vacation, being extremely bored and thinking to myself, this can't be it, right? This
can't be life.
Yeah, got to be something else. And what I realized is life is about fulfillment. And so at that point, I was 30 years old. I'm 45 now, but I made a decision 15 years ago that I was going to spend the rest of my life helping other people achieve financial freedom. And if they can achieve financial freedom, I know that they're going to do amazing things with the time that they have. And so now I have to formalize things, right? And the way I look at anything, it starts with people. Who are the people that need to be here, And I had a really amazing career and a lot of amazing students. But shortly after the pandemic is when I realized that people need people even more. And that was the birth of Wealth Genius. Okay. Wealth Genius has been a combination of everything that I've done in my life. I've put all the systems, all the people, all the community, the team, everything in place so someone can be successful. We're a direct result of the expectations of our peers, right? So change our peers, change our results. So we start with expanding people's mind, and then we give you the knowledge, whether it's in wholesaling, investing in the US, multifamily, or land development. But you're now plugged into this bigger energy, if you will, of like-minded people that are all moving towards the same direction. And it's contagious, it's powerful, and the people that come into it, they're like, this is incredible. And so the way I developed that business is through leadership, right? And you got to put yourself in a position of leading. How are you going to lead the masses? It's impossible. You have to develop other leaders that are going to take responsibility and ownership of other parts of the community. A community is only as good as its civil servants. And so if you build a community of followers, you're going to have to you're going to have to put in a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
But Wealth Genius has been the one thing in my life that has been effortless. And the reason why it's effortless is because of the leadership. When you create dynamic leadership and you promote and create leadership and get people excited about leadership where they take ownership over different tasks and things, and we can allow other people to come in and plug in their genius. You end up with an amazing community, which is why last year at this time, we were roughly about 150 members. And now we're pushing on 800 members across Canada and the US. Okay.
You could have answered that better, Alfonso. So, you shared with us how you are developing leaders, and myself and all 700 to 800 people in World Genius would obviously attest to that as the truth. For others that are not in the group, if you want to share like the common challenges and obstacles that you see a lot of these investors that are coming into the group, a lot of the challenges that they face, and how you help them overcome those challenges for them to become leaders. Because everyone in the group that takes up leadership positions are first investors, right? But you usually have to overcome certain obstacles, hurdles to become leaders. So, how do you sort of build that system, that process, to enable leaders in the community?
Well, the first thing is, are we talking about people within the community or outside of the community? What do I say to people outside of the community?
Yes. So what do you say to people outside of the community about how the community is building up leaders?
Okay. So firstly, we help people become accountable by doing. We're very action oriented, right? And so the very first, content is important, and we have some of the best content. There's a lot of content out there. In fact, I think the content of the world in the history of time, of all time, doubles every 24 hours. So all of the content that it's ever been created in the history of our existence doubles every 24 hours. And
Whoa.
That's crazy, right? I mean, because there's so much content out there. But what we promote is for you to go out there and get the context. And you're only going to get the context by doing very specific tasks that are going to allow you to internalize the content. So our secret formula, and I don't mind sharing it with people, is providing the content and the context together that gives you an understanding, the confidence to go out there and do. And when you're doing, you're leading the way, because people from outside of the community are looking at you and like, oh my God, Deji, you're taking action, right? And if you're taking action, people are going to follow, right? People are going to be like, okay, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of what you're doing. And ultimately is the accountability back to yourself, right? So, leaders are accountable, right? Number one, there's a system, there's a coach, there's mentorship, but where everybody in the whole industry went virtual, I went in person. And so one of the biggest differences, like, I'm there with you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many meetups have we met at?
Countless.
But there's a reason for that. It's like, if you see me in there, if you see my travel schedule, don't you dare tell me you're tired. If you look at my travel schedule, if you feel ever tired, exhausted, like you can't move on, I don't know, look at the things that I do, and the variety of different things that I'm doing, right? Yeah. And I'm doing that I'm not going to say go and do it. I never tell people, hey guys, you do this. Let's do this. Like, I'm here too. I'm here taking action myself. I'm out here doing walkthroughs. I'm out here in your city. It's not just you're kind of in the GTA, but I'm everywhere. I mean, I'm in Vancouver. I'm here. I'm there. I'm in Irvine, California. I'm in Tampa. I'm in Texas. I'm in Cleveland. You know what I mean? I'm there with the people, right? And so the question was, what would you say to people that are right now struggling or trying to overcome an idea of like why they should even join a community? The answer is Wealth Genius is in-person work here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to lead the way. By leading the way, by doing what needs to be done, you're going to do what needs to be done.
Okay. And that's very powerful, because when someone sees their leader doing something, then they have no other choice but to follow.
Yeah. And then when you do it, Deji, the people around you will do it. The people around you are going to look at you and say, oh, wait a minute. Deji's taking action. He's got a podcast. He's doing what he has to do. They did a study before. It was by Inc. magazine, and they interviewed like hundreds of successful people, and they said, what were the traits that you can attribute to your success? And why a whole bunch of other traits were important, it came down to number one: determination. Being truly determined. And what is determination, right? So all of these successful people that were interviewed said that the number one trait that they can attribute to their success was being determined. And determination is very simple: willing to do what you have to do when you have to do it, no questions asked. Willing to do what you have to do when you have to do it, no questions asked. Right? And so when you're taking action, even though you're tired sometimes, I don't know what you were doing before this podcast. You might have said, well, you know what? Like, I'm sure if I called Alfonso right now and said I was feeling under the weather, he would be okay with it. Right? But it's pushing. True determination says, no, I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to do what I have to do when I have to do it. No questions asked. Maybe you're scared of podcasting at the very beginning, but no, I'm willing to do what I have to do when I have to do it. No questions asked. Maybe you're scared of making the phone, picking up the call, calling a realtor, a seller, calling people from Kijiji. All those things make you uncomfortable, but they're building you as a leader, because if you are scared of these things, so are 96% of the other people. And by you doing it, you automatically inspire other people to do it. My name is Alfonso Cuadra. They call me the Godfather of real estate. I've been in business for over 30 years, in real estate over 26 years. I built a multi-million-dollar portfolio. And now I'm going across North America, talking to people and signing checks. I'm looking for deals because I'm building $1 billion portfolio. Is that you? Let me make an offer you can't refuse.
We just don't have enough information to make this decision. There's too many unknowns. And for that reason, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Thanks for that, Alfonso. And you touched on something that I shared, on one of our mentorship calls, where I was like, before this year, I was really never on video. And the thought of starting a podcast never came up because, with podcasting, people just only hear your voice. And for someone who has a strong accent, who stutters, it wouldn't be the first channel that comes to mind as the channel you want to invest in and, build out your platform. But to your point, that was what was required to be done at the time. And, irrespective of, how the accent sounds through audio, irrespective of the stuttering, it's what we are doing now, and we're essentially here to create value to the community and to all our listeners. So thanks for echoing, that as well.
Yes, sir. And you're doing a great job.
Thanks, sir. Okay, so another question that I know a lot of people would like to find out about is, all through your journey, was there a time when you figured this is the right time to get mentorship, this is the right time to get coaching? Because I believe there's usually a timing element to it. Can you touch on the different parts of your journey where you felt at this time I needed coaching, I needed mentorship, or is it something that you could just do anytime?
I think there's my first mentor was my mom, right? My mom, mentoring is happening informally all the time, right? Primarily all of my teachers, didn't inspire me, but there was one teacher. There was one teacher that did, right?
Okay.
And indirectly, she was my mentor, right? There's people that have come into my life that have had that position, and so mentorship, it's nothing that there's no age limit. You cannot be too young or too old. The only difference is formal versus informal, right? Informal is your mom, right? Like your mom is, as you're growing up, she's mentoring. Your parents are mentoring you as you're growing up, but there's not going to be an invoice. You know what I mean? From the goodness of their heart, right? So, as you're getting older, you're going to have different types of mentorship relationships.
Yeah.
And the issue is, at some point, the people that don't have the results that you're looking for are no longer in a position to help you where you're going. And so at that point, when you decide that you are now ready to move to the next level, maybe you want to start investing. Like, my mom could never mentor me on investing in real estate. She has no clue on what it is,
Yeah.
it's just not in her wheelhouse. And so, at that point, I needed to reach out to someone that has been doing what I was doing. When I was starting my business, I went talked to business people, right? I was like, what's your experience? What it is? What do you do? How do you do? You're always going to be stronger, better, equipped if you reach out and you tap into the experience of someone that has done it before. And so there's no real time, Deji. It's just the time is always today, right?
Yep.
And there's going to be some informal relationships of mentorship, and there's going to be some formalized ones where there's an exchange of value. I'm going to pay this much for this program or whatnot.
Yeah.
You can't do, in my opinion, you can't do it without coaching and mentorship, right? Especially if you're looking to compress time.
Yeah.
This is what I know.
Yeah.
All the professionals in the world, all the high-level executives, all the highest performers in our world have coaching and mentorship, right? And so look for, it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be you, right? But it has to be someone. Reach out to someone that can help you go to the next level.
Thanks a lot for that, Jose. I think I strongly resonate with that. What I've found more recently is, once you identify a goal, and it could be any goal, as you rightly pointed out, it could be a goal to buy a property, it could be a goal to build a better podcast. Once you identify a goal and you are convicted of that goal, then, as you rightly pointed out, you would seek out someone who is already doing that or who has done that before.
Yes.
And then engage that person to walk you through that process, to lead you through that path, ensure that you do not make the same mistakes they made. So,
you still make your own mistakes, but you don't have to make the dumb mistakes.
Exactly. And there's been countless times, that I know that has almost happened even in the wholesaling business, where if not for guidance from other people that had gone ahead of me, I would have made very stupid mistakes. There's one mistake that, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but again, it was because at the time I hadn't asked the question. I hadn't reached out to someone who was doing this before, so I didn't know. With wholesaling, as you know, when you get a property under contract, ideally you get paid on closing. Right?
Yes.
But when I started, I didn't know that. So I thought you got paid on the contract assignment. Mm-hmm. So here I was with the seller trying to negotiate, and because it was my first deal, I was really excited about creating value for the seller. And I was telling the seller, you know what, you can close whenever you want. In fact, you could close in 2 months. Just close whenever you want, as long as you want, just take your time. And then the seller was so excited and said, yes. And then we signed the contract, and I assigned it. It was a 20K assignment for first deal. And as soon as I assigned it, I emailed my lawyer, said, hi, when am I getting my check? and then he said, what check? I'm like, my check, 20K. We just did the deal. He's like, yeah, you just assigned the deal. I'm like, yes. When am I getting the check? He said, no, you get paid on closing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell will I do for 2 months? So for 2 months, I was like, okay, so I'm just going to wait for this deal to close. But now that you're saying what you're saying, at the time, no one had told me that you get paid on closing. Now, if someone had told me, chances are that when negotiating that deal, I might have maybe structured this in a different way. It was, I would say, it was a good wholesale fee, but it was the most painful 2 months ever.
Yeah. And you know what? You can't completely eliminate mistakes, but you can mitigate the mistakes and not make the obvious mistakes.
Yeah.
By surrounding yourself around the right people.
Okay, and that's a perfect segue into the next question, which is more around Wealth Genius and the community that you've created. So I know as you were speaking before, you shared a lot about the program, but could you give us an idea of the entire Wealth Genius program, like the different models? I know that you have a wholesaling component, so it will be interesting for people who are listening who lean more towards wholesaling and finding off market deals, just to learn about like the program and what's available.
Yeah, so it started with multifamily. I'm a multifamily investor.
Yeah.
This is kind of where everyone needs to end up, even though you're in land development, whatever strategy that you're going to use. At some point, you should be looking to end up in long-term deals. And
Yes.
the best long-term assets are multifamily by hands down. This is how, in my opinion, you build true generational wealth. And so, having done that, there's a lot of things in my life that I've branched out to. For example, before it was called wholesaling, we just called it assignments, right?
Yes.
Back in the early 2000s, and we would assign deals that we couldn't do, right, or we couldn't pursue. And so every single investor needs to have a wholesaling department, because if you're truly serious about going after multifamily and building your portfolio, you're not going to be able to do every single deal. Right.
Yes.
And so these deals are going to land in your lap, and it's a perfect way for you to make an extra $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, and keeping everybody engaged in real estate, especially now. For me, I have an office, right? So I gotta get everyone's got to be working. So everybody deserves that, but not everybody knows that. And it's a perfect way for someone to get started in real estate.
Yeah.
This just requires your time. Right. So everyone can start, with a wholesaling company, and it's a great active strategy that at some point you could leverage into multifamily. So I thought, you know what, let's look at all of the things that, there's a lack in the market. Like, no one teaches wholesaling. No one teaches multifamily. No one teaches land development or U.S. investing. And so we have those tracks, but it's just like a university, Deji, what my true vision is to create an ecosystem. And so when you go to a university, there's people that are majoring in law. There's people that are majoring in being a doctor, or
Yep.
people are engineers, but they all collaborate because they all go to the same school, and they can work with one another. You build camaraderie with the people. And so that's exactly what Wealth Genius is. It's like ecosystem.
Yeah.
So people in here, whatever track that you choose, whether you want to be investing in, if you want to be learning about how to create your own wholesaling company, or you want to be in multifamily or land development or investing in the U.S., and now we're going to be adding short-term rentals. Whatever part of that you want to participate in, you are still part of this community. And you have all the perks, like coming to all of the events and the meetups and the member only conferences that we just had this weekend. And so
Yeah.
it's all kind of interconnected. And how fun is it to have people learning about wholesale, and you have multifamily investors like hungry for deals, right?
Yeah.
So the wholesaler could flip the property to the land developer. The land developer could flip it to the multifamily investor. So what
Yeah.
we've done is, like, we created an ecosystem where everyone can work together, and there's synergies and camaraderie that is created, and that's Wealth Genius.
Okay, you've even explained it way better than even I expressed it to be.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that there's quite a number of tracks, and this is essentially a wholesaling podcast, and the listeners who come on here are usually people who are leaning towards wholesaling,
Yes.
more like the skills and the abilities to find off-market deals. So, can you shed more light on the track that sort of speaks to those types of people or that niche of investors?
Yes. So it's set up for someone that would want to, like I said before, everyone should have a wholesaling division in their company.
Yeah.
Right. So the track speaks to someone either wanting to start a wholesaling business or wants to add the wholesaling component to what they already are doing. Right. And simple as it sounds, like the simple assignment, there's a lot of nuances. As you know, that you need to know in order how, in terms of setting yourself up. Who do you hire? How do you hire? When do you hire? Who picks up the phone? Who this is? Who sends the email? How do you send the email? How do you create a buyer's list? All of these things need to be done. And so that's what the program does. It really puts you in a position where you have your own wholesaling business. Okay.
All right, cool. So, for people who, are looking to actually move into this line of real estate or this niche of real estate, like, what would you say motivated you and the team right now to create that track?
Well, I've always wholesaled, right? I'm not a wholesaler, but if I have a deal, and because I'm looking at so many deals at the same, so first of all, it starts with my acquisition department, and through my acquisitions department, I've created deal flow where I have lots of deals that I could put under contract. Okay. But sometimes I need to focus, right? So it's like, okay, these deals are good, but I'm not going to be able to take down all of them. I'm just going to take down the ones that are most in alignment with my goals and my company and where I'm trying to go. And so maybe you have 2 or 3 deals that will have to either do a collaboration with another wholesaler or simply approach another investor if they want to take on this deal. And so this is something that I'm doing anyways.
Yeah.
And in our program, we have Thea Vellenor.
Yeah.
And the activity and the depths of knowledge that this person has, I was like, okay, this is a perfect way to work, because I didn't, if I was going to do a wholesaling thing, I don't want to be known for everything, Deji.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to be known for the lands. Like, I could do all these things, but then you're not developing leaders, right? So Thea is, she's a beautiful person. And, through Thea, we've created the wholesaling track. And I know that it was, how I know it was needed? The second we opened up our mouth, everybody started talking about it. You know what I mean? Including my own daughter, and these are strategies that anybody, if you're willing to put in the time and follow the process, anybody can have a real estate business, right?
Yep.
And so I think it was needed. It was definitely needed. There's nobody else that I know of right now that has what we're creating, right? Because it's not a wholesaling business. It's a wholesaling track amongst all these other educational tracks, which means, look, if you had a wholesaling educational platform and that's all people are learning, that means how are they going to wholesale deals to each other?
Yeah, true.
Who are they going to wholesale deals to, right? But if you have a track amongst other things, that means that we've created an ecosystem where people can now work with one another, build camaraderie, and everyone can make money. It all stays in-house. So that's the vision.
I got to commend you for that, because I strongly resonate with the fact that with wholesaling, a lot of people think, it's just, finding a deal and assigning a deal because you are not able to close on the deal. Yeah. I think there's a lot of myths around that. But to your point, every deal, every successful deal, starts with finding the deal. Yeah. And with wholesaling, I view it more like lead generation and being able to not only find deals, but being able to create deals and create opportunities for investors. So
Yeah.
if you don't know how to find deals, then it's going to be hard to scale your portfolio anyways. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of transferable skills that you build by being a wholesaler. And if you are a wholesaler or you run a wholesaling business, that's a very, very critical and useful skill in the real estate space,
Yeah.
right? Because you're then able to take that deal and then create wealth out of it.
Yes. And some of the deals you might want to keep.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
Cool.
I love that you're doing this, Deji. This is amazing.
Thanks, Alfonso. So, quick question on this. So who would be the types of investors that this would be geared to? And if they wanted to learn more about this, how do they learn more about this?
Are we talking about wholesaling?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we do have, look, one big difference between, other platforms and what we do at Wealth Genius is that we're very in person. We have a lot of in-person events. Like I was saying before, we were just at this, conference, our members only expand conference in Niagara Falls with close to 500 people there. It was incredible. And so what we do is and I don't know when you're going to release this, but we have a lot of different events all across North America, not just Canada, but Canada and the US. We just came back from Irvine, California, Las Vegas, all across Canada, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Saskatoon, Ottawa, GTA area, Montreal, Halifax. And so, we're not just doing multifamily events. We also have, wholesaling specific education training. And the next one is not this weekend, but the weekend of the 8th in St. Catharines.
Yeah.
And so if someone's listening, I don't know when you're going to release this, but if someone's watching this or listening to this, make your way to eventbrite.ca, type in Alfonso Quadra, type in wholesaling, type in Wealth Genius, and the wholesaling boot camp. So it's 2 days intensive just on wholesaling. It's going to be in St. Catharines, Ontario. So that's near Niagara area. So I'm hoping to see people there. But if you missed that one, if you're watching this in the future, just go to eventbrite.ca. There's a lot of different times that we're going to do these events.
Oh, perfect, Alfonso. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the episode. If you had one thing, to share with our viewers before you leave, what would that one piece of advice be?
Well, I'm big on goals, right? So set big goals for yourself, to not only to inspire yourself, but not necessarily to get to the end, to get to that goal. Set big goals to see the type of person that you're going to become on the way to achieving that goal, right? Because you're going to grow, you're going to build, you're going to get stronger, you're going to create, you're going to, you're not going to be the same person, on the way to getting to that goal. And so set big goals, to see the person you're going to become. One of my favorite quotes is success is what you attract by the person you become. Success is what you attract by the person you become. And so you are going to attract everything you wanted in life by becoming the person that you're supposed to be.
Bombs. And you promised,
Bombs.
and you delivered. Bombs. Okay, so we usually ask a question before, at the end of every episode, which is, can you tell us your greatest L in real estate and what you learned from it?
Yeah. Listen, if you ask someone, what is your biggest loss? And they say, I've never lost. BS. Don't do business with that person, right? Because if they haven't had a loss, they're playing with your money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're the guinea pig. You know what I mean? So, I've had many. One very specific was my first business where, I almost lost everything, right?
Yep.
And I had to rebuild myself. And, I like to talk about that because I think it's important for people to understand that, hey, we've all been there. Like at some point you are going to lose and you gain nothing from winning all the time. It's only when you lose, you get the opportunity to learn and grow. So I learned a lot from that situation. I started a real estate for sale by owner website. And I don't know much about, I'm not a tech person, but I had this website. We started this whole startup, roughly about $200,000. And the second we started to get some traction. You know, we were charging about $800 per listing. This other company came and did $50 a listing and kind of took us out. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
Yeah. I've bought properties with where I made assumptions that, when I actually got the property, what I thought was going to happen didn't happen. Right. I've been in situations where, vacancy has increased because I took my eye off the ball. And so I've learned so much over the years that I'm almost, when things go wrong, I can adapt easy. I can pivot. And that's the resilience that you're going to build by going through all of the ups and downs of real estate. Unfortunately, there's no perfect path, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to go through some bumps and some things are going to be uncomfortable. But the more you do that, the stronger you get.
Join us for our 10th and biggest Expand Investor Conference. And this year, this November, we are doing it in Calgary, Alberta. Yeah! And it's going to be a big one. And I want you to go and get your tickets right away. Our Expand Investor Conference, our 10th edition of our Expand Investor Conference is happening in Alberta. Get your tickets right away.